Hello, my friends. Last Tuesday, we decided to visit this resort. We've often checked it out on Google and really liked its location on the coast, directly on the water of the ocean. However, we couldn't spot any sand beach, although the description on Google shows photos of customers lounging at the beach. We started our journey on Tuesday at around 11 a.m. We took our four-wheel drive car using the NLEX and Skyway from Manila as much as possible. The drive was approximately 3 hours and 46 minutes for 219 kilometers. Of course, Google isn't perfect, so it sent us in the wrong direction several times in Mabini. Finally, we followed the signs placed by Eagle Point Resort along the road, and that was the correct route. After taking the indicated path, it became quite steep, winding and narrow, making it impossible for two vehicles to pass each other.
We encountered a problem with my Metro Bank debit card, which they didn't accept. Narrator. 8 minutes later, we arrived at a shared parking area where a guard called the hotel. A minivan picked us up, transferred our luggage from the SUV to the van, and drove us down an even steeper and curvier road for about 7 more minutes. We finally arrived at the hotel after descending around 20 steps. From the reception area, we could already see the restaurant and the beautiful view of the ocean.
The room itself initially met our expectations. The air conditioning worked, although we could only choose between low, medium, and high cool settings. The queen-size bed was as requested and the furniture was adequate.
Also, the 32-inch flat TV was there and worked, including a cable TV box. From the balcony, we had a wonderful view of the ocean, and that was already a good beginning to this stay.
In the bathroom, everything functioned well, and there was even hot water for the shower. The only thing was a loose toilet seat and some cockroaches in the shower. So for the room, we give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. The menu was straightforward, spread over 2 pages, offering everything from breakfast to desserts, including beer and long drinks. I decided to start with a Greek salad and followed it up with a vegetarian omelet. We enjoyed our meal while taking in the peaceful ambiance of the nearly empty restaurant. The Greek salad was acceptable, though I could get a better and cheaper one back in Angeles City. Unfortunately, the omelet was disappointing. It seemed to be cooked in cheap vegetable oil, or perhaps the butter used was rancid. The overwhelming taste of the fat made the omelet almost inedible. After sorting everything out, it was time for our OMAD, our one meal per day. Apart from 2 cups of coffee, you hadn't eaten anything. That evening, some people were buying in the beautiful pool, so you were almost alone in the restaurant at 6 p.m., waiting for the sunset at 6:25 p.m. However, we ran into another issue with the Wi-Fi. The supposedly free Wi-Fi required a purchase, 100 pesos per 24 hours per device. For 2 mobile phones and 1 laptop, this meant 300 pesos per day. The only free Wi-Fi was available in the restaurant. As we dined, we watched the sky change colors in anticipation of the sunset. At 6:25 p.m., the sun began to set, painting the sky with beautiful hues of orange, pink, and purple. It was a breathtaking view, even without the sandy beach we had hoped for. Sitting there, enjoying our meal and the stunning sunset, we felt the journey was well worth it. We enjoyed our meal as far as possible, while taking in the peaceful ambiance of the nearly empty restaurant. After dinner, during which we had water and coffee, we wanted to move on to red wine.
I'm sorry, but all 3 house wines listed on the menu are currently unavailable, both by the glass and by the bottle.
To our dismay, not a single bottle was available. And the other wines? They were all priced at 2,500 pesos, regardless of origin or age. This gave us the impression that they were trying to overcharge us.
Would you like to consider some of our other beverages?
After discovering that all the house wines were unavailable and the other wines were excessively priced, we switched to beer.
A bottle of San Miguel Light here costs 180 pesos.
Whereas at home, we paid just 100 pesos. But okay, we figured the price hike was for the nice view, haha. On our way from the room to the restaurant, we noticed that the toilet seat was not properly fixed and there were a few cockroaches in the shower. We requested that these issues be addressed while we were out, and the staff assured us that they would send a handyman. When we returned, we found that someone had attempted to tighten the toilet seat, but it was still loose. However, the cockroaches were gone. Laying in the comfortable queen bed, We watched some TV, although the flat screen was quite small at about 32 inches. This wasn't a surprise as it was mentioned in the online description. The room did have a good cable TV receiver, which was a plus. S2. Absolutely, we'll make sure everything is sorted out for you. The next morning, after breakfast, we decided not to stay another night. The bad oil from the omelet last night, and the necessity to walk through the whole restaurant to get me another coffee, as the waitresses were not doing this.
The food and drinks were average and overpriced, and the resort's remote location made it inconvenient to go anywhere else quickly. You always need a shuttle bus to get to the parking area, and we didn't want to drive back in the dark. So we decided to check out 2 nights early.
The internet photos were likely from a nearby island with a great beach, accessible only by boat, and this trip cost 3,500 pesos per person. Narrator: when checking out, the room was inspected to ensure we hadn't taken or left anything behind before we were driven to the parking area. Overall, it was a good experience, but we found out there are no sandy beaches along the Mabini coastline.
After leaving Eagle Point Resort, we drove 2 hours to Nasugbu, Batangas, where there are many sandy beaches in shades of white to brown. But more on that later. We will definitely not be returning to Eagle Point Resort, but it's a good spot for those interested in snorkeling or diving. Overall, our trip to Eagle Point Resort in Mabini, Batangas was a mixed experience. Despite the challenges with navigation, steep roads, disappointing food, overpriced drinks, and issues with the room, the beautiful location and serene environment made it a memorable getaway. Stay tuned as we continue to explore other resorts and share more about our experiences. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to see more travel adventures. See you in my next video. Thanks and goodbye. Your Eric.